classic FM sounds, but now I've actually dropped FM as a process into a DSP chain, and I'm now using it to modify a piano that I've added some effects to and an envelope, and I'm blending it with a little bit of an analog also program. So you can see how incredibly expressive it is. If I just jump over to something completely unrelated, here's a multi that I put together that is using some guitar patches. So I have a bass layered with a distorted guitar, multi-dynamic guitar with picking and then into distortion. The right hand, I have a guitar that's also a pick distorted guitar. The key bed is made by Medeli. It's not a Fatar action, which is really kind of a first for Kurzweil. It's a beautiful weighted, hammer weighted action, but it's not so heavy as to get in the way of organ playing. Definitely hammer weighted though, not a sprung action. So very, very cool to play. And with 16 zones, you can split it into 16 zones, layer or split. You really want an 88 note, especially if you're going to try to put together combinations where you have a lot of interesting things going on in different sections. I know I used to use a huge keyboard rig, and now I can do it all just in single instrument, sometimes two at the most, but having this keyboard range is very important. There are sounds that you might want to do like a mellotron, where you might want your strings octaves. So I have my first two sliders are controlling the octave ranges. So you can hear, here's the mellotron strings, and then the lower cellos. And then I have in the middle section, mellotron choir. I have them in octaves also, so I can take the octave out. And then on the top, I have my flutes. So if I want to play something, I have this beautiful keyboard range. So I have all the standard stock stuff. I can make the samples, in fact, die at 8 seconds if I wanted to. And then we have a tape loop emulator in the effects that you'll hear get dirtier as each of the echoes go around. So a lot of cool tools in here if you're trying to go retro. But there's a lot of cool things for the future as well. The instrument is packed at this point with a bunch of different sounds that I loaded in. Kurzweil was always known for orchestral, so I'm going to show up one of the orchestral programs. This is using a string section that we recorded many years ago, but it's been processed and there's different sections pulled together and now made into a larger string offering. In fact, the strings in here rival some of those actual disk-based, or if you will, computer-based libraries. So all kinds of programs. I'm going to go through some of the stock patches here. Here's a suitcase electric piano. I just want to show you how the interface works. It's also new for Kurzweil with so much horsepower under the hood. One of the problems is if it's too deep that people can't operate it, it just becomes a giant confusing mess. But in fact, Kurzweil listened, and so they standardized their user interface. You have 9 drawbars or 9 sliders, drawbars if you're using the organ mode. I'll show that in a minute. And then you have 9 switches and 9 rotary knobs at the top. And these are all pre-decided for each of the patches in a standard form what they're going to do. And I'll give you an example. The first leftmost slider is doing filter cutoff. The one to the right of that is doing filter resonance. Then we have attack, envelope attack, and then envelope release. Then we have 5 sliders dedicated to an amount of a kind of effect. The first is called motion. This is kind of a left to right panner. Then you have effects 1 and 2. These vary based on the sound that you're playing, but you know what they're going to be in effect for sure. And then you have delay and reverb. The knobs at the top are doing something dedicated as well. For these last 5 sliders, the effects that I mentioned, they're doing a rate control. So for example, when you have this motion or panner, this will do the panning rate. The next knob, let's say it's a chorus, it'll do chorus amount, or rather chorus rate, phaser rate. The sliders are doing the amount, and then you can have delay time on the knob and delay amount on the slider, and then reverb amount on the slider and reverb time on the knob. The first 4 knobs are doing EQ. So you have bass, you have a parametric midsection, and then a treble control. I believe the treble and bass are shelves. So very standardized stuff. You also have a variation button that gives you a variation to each patch that you're playing. So there's a lot of musicality right on the front control panel. I'm just going to shape one of these suitcase EPs in real time. You'll get an idea of the kinds of things you can do. Even if you haven't asked a question, I would be asking the question, do the controls jump the moment you touch them? Well, they can. That's called immediate, or they can wait till you fly past the actual program value. I have them set to move only when I cross the threshold of the programmed value. I'm going to turn it off and go more authentic. I'll go for the phaser. I'll increase the phaser time. Another very cool thing that you can do on here, you can, and the real-time controls, again, change envelopes. So I can make this sound very different by changing the attack and the release. Maybe put chorus back on. I just hit the layer button, and immediately I'm presented with a layer. In this case, it comes up with strings or a pad. I'm going to grab one of the more unusual pads and layer this and see what we come up with. This one's called Alpha Centauri, the pad. cool timbres that are moving around. Some of the other things people normally are looking for. Can you do simple things on the front panel like transpose? If you're a church musician, that's very important to you. Sometimes church musicians, you'll be playing a piece of music that's printed, but the soloist will come in and say, I don't do it in that key. Maybe if you don't know the work, you can't instantly transpose by ear. So you have transpose plus and minus buttons right on the front panel. Again, very simple, very easy to use. On the back panel too, they did some cool things. You have a 2/4 inch balanced inputs where you can plug audio from the outside world into the architecture. For example, maybe backing tracks, maybe other things that you want to process through here. You also have a line in through an 1/8 inch mini pin. So you can, and they're both live at the same time. So you can plug some cool stuff in for backing tracks, but there's a 16 track sequencer. So you can literally just create your stuff on the fly or import MIDI files, and it'll play MIDI files as well. On the back, one other connector connects the 600 millimeter Kurzweil Super Ribbon. This is awesome. If you've never seen this before, it's a 600 millimeter long ribbon, and it can do a myriad of things, not just bend pitch. It can play notes. It can open and close filters. It's really, really awesome. It's an awesome add-on to any of the Kurzweil products that accepts it. I'm going to step through a handful of other things right now and show you what's going on in here. We'll pick a couple more of these multis. Again, these can be up to 16 zones. I'm a frustrated guitar player, so here's something else I put together using bass and a variety of guitars, and you get an idea again of the dynamics on all of the instruments. They're multi-sampled in many cases, so you get different articulations by how hard you play the key. Here's KB3 mode, the rotary organ mode, and my drawbars, I got a beautiful display showing me the drawbar configuration. Okay, one more sound. I'm just going to show up just a quick one of the drum kits. They're really great. Just check it. Thank you all for watching, and we apologize for the technical glitch. We really appreciate you, though, hanging out with us here for a few minutes and learning a little bit about the Kurzweil PC4. Some additional information. There'll be a produced video out next week, produced by Craft Music, so check out their channel and check out the more in-depth review. Thanks again for watching.